Hey everyone, thanks for joining. You are on CoPact's Dynamic Duo series, where results are guaranteed. Today I have Jeff Wenzel, CEO of Pre-IPO Hype. Jeff, how's it going today?
It is going. It is going well. Thanks for having me.
Jeff, I always love to start with hearing a bit about your background and your journey.
Was a musician for a long time, owned recording studios, had a band that got fairly popular back in the MySpace days for some of our older crowd out there. And that ultimately failed. I pivoted into doing this recording studio where I was recording bands, but also crowdfunding using Kickstarter when that first came out. We ended up being really successful with that until the internet world changed. From there, I moved into just being an agency for reward-based crowdfunding, Kickstarters and Indiegogos. Ran that until that kind of shifted and changed, and then pivoted into equity crowdfunding. So for the last almost 10 years now, almost exclusively doing equity crowdfunding type raises. So looking for money for startup companies. So that's what I've been working on.
Can you share the band name or do people
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
you can
deep
go right
Google
now.
search?
It's called the Sugar People. You can go and find it on the old Spotify's of the world. And yeah, our world was before Spotify, right? So if you go back and you look at one of our claims to fame, we were like, you could, the iPod first came out, you could go to like the auto shows, and Volkswagen had a station where you could plug in and it would download one of our songs. So yeah, it was a good time. We did some touring, we did some stuff. But yeah, there's 3 albums out there and all kinds of stuff for people to dive into.
I will check that out after for sure. Well, now that you've kind of found your passion and it sounds like you truly fell into it, I'd love to hear more about Pre-IPO Hype. What's your mission as a company?
Our mission's been really, it's been the same for all of this. Even when I was back in the band days, like we were doing pretty unique stuff with different musicians, different singers, very eclectic group. When we went into the agency world, we're helping companies kind of grow out of the garage, tinkering with their widget. Same thing's happening right now. It's a company is looking at raising some capital. They're probably pre-seed. They might just be out of the garage with their idea, and they want to get some of that early capital into their company, and that's what we're helping. I have all of these little moments of like, man, I was a part of that company. Like literally, there's if you go to iTunes right now, you go to documentaries. We have 2 documentaries in the top 10 that were funded through Kickstarters that we worked on 7 or 8 years ago. There's a company called Backbeat. Like that company exists because we did an early campaign. That's been our mission all along is really getting partnered with a founder, a CEO, and taking a little bit of that burden off their shoulders when it comes to marketing, lead gen, paid ads. And then hopefully like knowing that like I've seen a lot. So if I'm telling you like you want to be careful, it's either because I've probably been a part of failure or I've been a part of success, just kind of depending. And I'm saying stuff from a very like genuine point of like, you should really think about this because I've seen this happen here and there. So that's our mission behind the scenes with Pre-IPO Hype.
Makes a ton of sense. I love that. Both great bands and great startups come from garages.
They certainly do, man. It's actually crazy the similarities again without knowing any of this stuff, right? Like you just fall into it. I've been running a record label since I was 16. So even right now, if I have 10 clients, or if I had 10 bands on my record label back in the day or in my studio, 2 of them were absolutely fantastic and were like paying all the bills. 2 or 3 of them were pretty good, and then the rest of them couldn't get out of their way. And you're like, it's the same thing. It's people coming to get personalities. I use an analogy too in all my startups. Like, who's the front man of your band? Like, who's going to go out and be on the video and be the spokesperson? And if you don't have one, you got to go find them because instrumental bands are hard to break, right? Like, you got to go find that type of personality or person to lead your charge.
I've always been told I have a face for radio, so it's good things we have good in common.
Well, I mean, the podcast just strip that audio
Yeah,
out.
I love it. Would love to just hear who are the ideal startup companies.
I've had my hands in almost every cookie jar that you can get out there. There are some that are more challenging. An example would be like a pharmaceutical type company, something where it's really technical, or just you have to imagine like I'm putting this out in the world. I need average people just to understand it. We're also marketing basically to goldfish in today's world. So like if you're going to give me this like really technical jargon, it's hard to break through that noise. I have to go find very, very sophisticated types of investors who know maybe the industry or the vertical. So I'm always looking for companies that just have that sort of reach when it comes to the idea. Like you can actually see it going farther. But even if you're not quite, I always have a place to put people because either you're starting to learn marketing or education around crowdfunding or what you need to be doing. So you could be my training courses or you're ready to go. We've got our pitch decks, we've got our videos, we've got our story really built, and we're ready to go right now. Again, that might be the better avenue for you. So I'm all over the place when it comes to this. I've seen a lot in my time here.
And one of the things I appreciate most about you and Pre-IPO Hype as a partner is the fact that you do take people along that journey. And you're a big believer that fundraising isn't a one and done. It's a
Yeah.
true journey that you need a partner for.
100%. When I was doing Groovebox Studios, we were fundraising all the time. And I learned ultimately from that is almost next to impossible to be fundraising all the time and running a very successful business. Like, again, you're a small team, you're not well funded at that moment. So like stuff starts slipping through the cracks. Or when we started to get some money in, not understanding, like, I got now new opinions about what we're doing, right? And maybe opinions that don't know exactly the industry we're in or really understands the vision, but you got to listen to them. All of a sudden, we start shifting some of our ideas, some of our core philosophies, and it gets a little loose on us, right? All of these things are lessons, right, as you go through it. And I think every company or every founder has to learn those lessons. It's just you don't want the fall to be as far as it can be. You're trying to, put some soft cushion below that fall.
Fundraising's a full-time job, running a company's a full-time. Most likely, you're not a fundraising expert, so come and find the right partner.
At some point too, it's a skill that you definitely learn, right? Again, it goes back to like frontman of the band. I get this question quite a bit from clients who are like, well, tell me how much money you think I'm going to raise. I'm like, I don't know. You're in the meeting. Can you close the deal? I know I can close the deal, but I'm not your company. You might get the ball to the 5-yard line and decide to drop it at the 3-yard line, like that little NFL thing that for some reason still exists. I don't understand why people drop the ball on the 1-yard line. Like, I don't get it, but like, that could be you. You could be in the meeting and you could crap the bed. And what do you want me to do?
That's a perfect segue. So one of the big things about being a CoPact partner is the impact guarantee. I'd love to hear kind of your maturation with providing impact guarantees, why you think it's important, and what's the unique flavor of Pre-IPO Hype's impact guarantee.
Yeah. So for ours, it really is putting quality investors on the table for you to be sorting through, right? We are not a quantity play. We really are a quality play. So our goal is to get you to as many meetings as possible, get your pitch deck on as many tables or desks as possible, and really make sure that like it is a good match, right? So again, let's say you are the pharmaceutical company. Why would I be introducing you to somebody who invests in a lot of consumer goods, right? Like it's just like, that is not the right vehicle. That's a waste of time. So when we look at these kind of guarantees that we're talking about, we really want to focus on, 500 people went in the funnel, but really these 30 or 40 are like the right person. And even out of that, there might only be 2 or 3 people out of that, but that's okay because you're making those relationships, you're making good collisions. And the other part of this is that you never know when or where in time these people might actually either bring you on to invest, connect you with somebody else. Oh my gosh, you need to talk to this person. So again, being open-minded around what those collisions could look like. And, know that, yes, just because maybe this door is halfway closed right now, it might be getting open for another one or next year at this time, or they want to see a little bit of growth. So that's what we're really focused on with these types of partnerships, is just getting the right eyeballs into your world so that you can start making those collisions and those relationships.
I've never heard collisions before, but I like it. I might have to steal that. That's a good way to put it, because some collisions are good and have positive effects and some have negative effects.
Dude, I just had one that, it blew my mind. Like, again, guy popped up on my calendar. I was like, I don't know, right? But I go into my CRM. All right, let me see who this guy, preparing a little bit. This guy joined in my CRM somehow in 2019. He booked a call, didn't show for the call, according to my CRM. Popped up, this is last week, and is like, hey, I'm ready now. But I've been getting all of your emails, your 5 for Fridays. I watch your LinkedIn stuff. I knew you were the guy. I just wasn't, what was I going to do? Waste your time in 2021? I wasn't ready. And he's like, I'm ready now. So contract out, and you're like, my gosh, if I would have like not sent those emails, not been up, you just don't know when people are ready. And you just, again, those are things we don't control, it's sort of in this universe of connections. So yeah.
Yeah, and I loved actually one of our previous conversations when we were onboarding Pre-IPO Hype is like, I'm going to do everything for you as a partner at Pre-IPO Hype. The only thing I can't guarantee you is I can't force somebody to give you money.
Sure.
You're going to get the money. We're going to help you craft the story. We're going to get you in front of people. We're going to learn. But I can't guarantee that. Everything else, I'm going to give you the best in quality that you can get.
Yeah, I have a very, very similar model. I cannot guarantee an investor is going to look at you and go, here's $100,000. I don't know anybody on the planet that controls that. If you control that lever, good for you. But I don't know who controls that lever. My job is to, nope, you had 10 meetings this month. 6 of them were really, really good. 4 of them, yeah, it happens. It's like part of life. So it's just being
I take a
understand.
60% hit rate. That would be pretty
Exactly.
good for me.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Jumping into it, success story. Is there any one, you mentioned a few earlier, but any one that really kind of brings it home of what yourself and pre-IPO hype can bring to a potential client?
Yeah, I mean, there really is. There's two. One is, most of the time when people are like, tell me your success, Jeff," and I'm like, "Well, do you need all the variables and context around it to equal what success is, right?" So one of my most successful ones was a company on WeFunder. This was going to be a construction app for contractors, right? For construction sites, so incredibly niche. He did not have an app. He had no crowd. He had the InDesign of what the app would look like, and we ended up raising $113,000. Again, most people are like, "Oh, that's nothing," right? And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? No crowd, no community. We didn't spend a bunch of money in paid ads. Knocked on doors. We found the right people, and he got like 100 investors. So yeah, small amounts, but like got him to the next level of his business. Then I have other companies where you look at and you go, oh, they raised $5 million. And you go, yes, but we spent $800,000 in paid ads. We were in pre-launch for 8 months, so you're only seeing the public portion of it. And you go, well, is that success or is $100,000 success? Like those are metrics that we look at, and we go, where are you in this sea of, do I have almost $1 million in paid ads? No, I don't have that. Okay, well, I'm not going to measure you on paid ads if you don't have that budget. So it really does come down to the context around the offering, the deal, the valuation, how much shares you're actually giving away, the perks. If you have been a consumer good for 10 years and you actually have some brand recognition and a community that I can tap into, well, you should raise more money than the guy with 100 emails in his MailChimp account, right? Like, you just should. So again, it really, when we talk about success, we really want to gauge it on where you really are. And then the other big thing that I try to talk to every startup is my goal is to always have the wind blowing in your sails. Meaning, I don't want you to go out and put a $5 million goal with 100 MailChimp subscribers, raise $200,000, but it looks like a failure. When in actuality, if you would have put a $150,000 goal, it would have looked like you crushed it. So now when you go into VC meetings, angel meetings, you have a win, not a, hey, I Googled you and you didn't raise very much money and you were never going to raise $5 million. You put that as a ceiling that the SEC gave us, right? Not a realistic goal and ceiling. So again, I really try to put context around this and be realistic around where are you right now in this journey? And then let's make sure that that is a measurable growth and success, right? In that bubble, not comparing you to apples to avocados. Like what? So yeah.
That prescriptive and tailored approach is the best way. And a lot of our partners at CoPact do that. And that's why we love it, because anybody that promises you X dollars or X percentage or any result without knowing you, your business, and the context behind it, it's not authentic. And that's why you have to meet and align on what those realistic goals are and what success really looks like.
100%. 100%.
All right. Absolute last thing, closing call to action. What's most of our audience is CEOs, COOs of startups, SMB, mid-market. What's one thing you want them to know about pre-IPO hype and yourself that is a great takeaway that people should know about you guys?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. One is from almost everybody that works with me, there is an energy that kind of comes off of us, right? From just what we have seen, the expertise level. There is just, decades of just knowledge around us. So just typically if I'm saying something, it's not because it's my opinion on it. It's like, no, I have like 14 case studies I can give you as to why something is X, Y, and Z. Second thing is like we put out so much education. Just literally go to fuzzywenzel.me, sign up for our newsletter there. You could also sign up for the Lowdown, which is on Pre-IPO Hype. So we got different newsletters. So if you're a startup founder, you go to the Lowdown. Man, I'm giving out information of things to try. So, again, almost every Tuesday, I give you like, go try this on TikTok. Go try this on your email. And that way, when we might work together, we're speaking the same language. Hey, the reason I suggested this is it worked for client A. Maybe you should try it. So really kind of thinking about that type of approach, really thinking about, expertise when it comes to, we've seen a lot of deals. We've done about 200 plus deals when it comes to just equity crowdfunding alone. So Reg A's, Reg D's, Reg CF's. I mean, almost everything's come across our desk at the end of the day.
I think it's a great point, and you truly showcasing by how you attract clients is how you attract investors. You
100%.
believe in this methodical approach of nurturing, hitting people with multiple media channels, and really getting them to speak the same language so you can have good conversations. Not the most conversations, but good, really great
Yeah,
conversations.
I mean, I think I've told you, really, this last year has all been about flipping the marketing funnel sort of upside down. It's about depth, meaning like it's fairly easy to get some awareness to whatever you're doing, but like how deep can you go with webinars and a community group to join, a newsletter that's really putting out information, objections as to why you wouldn't want to work with me, right? Like, well, here's how I would overcome those, right? So you're just trying to think about how deep you can go with people right now, because ultimately I think that's what people want. It's pretty easy to be surface level, right, and just click on an Instagram, a TikTok, and just be up here. But it's, can you actually build that relationship, B2B, B2C, and kind of put out that kind of energy and vibe with people, and just really kind of connect at that level.
It's a great point. Depth over breadth when it comes to now in the day. And with that goldfish mindset and that goldfish, attention span, you really have to hit them and hit them with something memorable in a lot of different ways and have that depth versus, hey, I hit a million people with one little anecdote. That's not going to do it.
Yeah, I tell you, one of the biggest things I got over, and I hear this a lot, is I don't want to send that many emails. I don't want to annoy anybody. And you just don't realize, like, everybody's deleting emails. You're anticipating that they're reading every word, and that's just not how any of us are working, right? So you just start to realize, like, I have maybe 10 times in 10 years I've gotten that's enough emails, but like for the other 50,000 people, like right over their head. Yep.
Jeff, thank you so much for joining. Everyone, this was CoPact's Dynamic Duo series where results are guaranteed.